Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Good afternoon, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy podcast, your source for nerddom news and commentary. I am your host and superior web headmaster, Jarod Bachman-Stubbs, and it is time to face the music. We are talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 today, and oh boy, is this a movie I'm excited to talk about. This one absolutely knocked my socks off. I rewatched the first two movies before going to see this one. I forgot how much I love Guardians. It has been a hot minute since I've been able to just sit down and really enjoy these movies, and I forgot how much I love them. And having them both be fresh, I'm going to be honest, I haven't seen the holiday special yet. A friend of the show, Alden Diaz, gave me the skinny as I was walking into the theater. I didn't get a chance to watch it at Christmas time, and I cannot physically bring myself to watch something Christmas related before it's holly jolly time. But I'm super excited to talk about this movie, super excited to talk about everything in it. This very emotional, beautiful, aggressively optimistic final chapter for this iteration of the Guardians. But of course, I am not alone. I am joined by friend of the show, Mitch from the ComicBookCast.
Hey guys, it's nice to be back again. Even though it was a week ago.
Yeah, we were 2 Mitch episodes in a row.
We are,
yeah.
I'm moving in again.
Fret not. Travis will be back. He was doing his choir tour thing last week, and I haven't had a chance to talk to him. I don't think, knowing that he has been working a lot and that he just came back from his choir thing, I assumed he had not seen Guardians yet, and he's also normally not super free on Friday afternoons anyway. So it's a me and Mitch episode, and the next time Travis is riding shotgun with me, he'll get to give his thoughts on Guardians, provided he's seen it. But before we jump into our movie review, we do have a word from our lovely sponsors at Sunday's Bloody Mary. You guys know the drill. SundaysBloodyMary.com has the most badass Bloody Mary accoutrement throughout the multiverse. They have their 3-time award-winning spicy Caesar mix, as well as their mild and traditional mixes if the spicy ain't for you. And if you want to get your freak on and garnish that bad boy, they got their award-winning pickled dilly beans, okra, asparagus, and some rim salt if you're feeling nasty, as well as some cute tomato-themed merch you can also get your hands on. If you go over to sundaysbloodymary.com/shop, use code TNAP, TNAP at checkout. Get 10% off your order, and you help out your favorite nerds while you do it. So, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Mm-hmm.
The MCU franchise that I think in many ways, Guardians of the Galaxy, and this has been my take for some time, Guardians of the Galaxy proved that the MCU was, and always will be a powerhouse. I know a good amount of people have not been super in love with some of the MCU output of the last couple of years. I'm not in that camp. There hasn't been a project I have disliked, quite honestly. Not a single one comes to mind. Maybe Falcon and the Winter Soldier just really wasn't for me, but that was just because, it had weird politics, but we knew it was going to. There was no getting around. There was no getting around the show that was largely military propaganda. I say that as somebody who loves Captain Marvel. So what the fuck do I know? But other than having some mild misgivings with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there's not a single MCU project we've gotten in Phase 4, now into 5, that I've not quite enjoyed to loved. And Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is no different. And if you go all the way back 10 years ago now, nearly 10 years maybe.
9.
9, yeah.
If you're talking about the first one, it's 9, 2014 it came out.
Yeah, so you go back 9 years, and You go back even a little further to the announcement. You know, when on the riding the high of the Avengers, you know, we're gonna get we're gonna get third Iron Man and a second Cap and a second Thor and all this stuff. And then the Mad Lads go, oh, also, here's a guy who did the live action Scooby Doo movie. He's going to do a movie about the Guardians of the Galaxy. And comic book nerds had to use the Google. You know?
They did. I can vividly remember. When was it announced? Like 2012, 2013?
Roundabout.
Yeah, it must have been around the Avengers time because obviously they did the whole phase slate at one point.
Yeah.
And I think there was me and like 5 other people that I just saw online. I might have known one other, but the rest of them were all just random. It's like, it's the guy, like, there's a talking raccoon for a reason, guys. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, I think it's so funny though, because like when the MCU, Marvel Studios, first begins this adventure, you know, they pick the heroes that they have access to. And yes, they make up this team that is iconic to comic book fans, but the general audiences, you know, like Thor, Captain America, they're kind of on the sillier side, and they're going to be a tough sell. Well, they have a movie that does gangbusters, that features all of these characters all hanging out together. So what's the next move? Well, no, you're going to double down on these guys and also introduce you to something batshit insane. And go the route that they did and adapt these characters and change these characters and make somebody like Groot or Yondu Undanta household names. And I remember seeing Guardians in the theater opening weekend and as a teenager and going, this just changed everything.
Yeah.
Like the MCU, like they can do whatever the fuck they want.
I mean, it changed the MCU. It also just changed Hollywood.
Yeah.
The style of the original Guardians alone is, you know, Suicide Squad's a perfect example. It aped the hell out of the marketing for that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, they changed everything to make it seem more like an edgy Guardians, and it makes that decision even funnier that for the sequel, they just went, okay, we're just going to use the guy who did Guardians. And
it worked really well.
And it worked really well. And it's because James Gunn is an amazing filmmaker and an incredible artist who can change, you know, like the Suicide Squad and Guardians of the Galaxy do not feel the same. And I love that. I love that. Like, yes, it has that same, like there are similarities insofar as it is the same artist, writing and directing. So there are those hallmarks. But it doesn't feel identical. It is markedly less silly, kind of a little more macabre. But either way, like you said, like there are so many things that became like that Guardians of the Galaxy became shorthand for. Is that you have like it was like a new flavor of, I even hesitate to say anti-hero because that comes with so much of an edge to it. You know, you say anti-hero, you think of like a Punisher or a Red Hood. Where like you have the like this new like flavor of like semi anti-hero, because like the Guardians aren't like superheroes per se. You know, they're scoundrels.
No, that's the exact word I was going to use. They are scoundrels.
They're scoundrels, and like as a Star Wars fan, you know, somebody who's like that, like that's my number one fandom and always has been and likely always will be. It was really interesting seeing like the comic book medium, not to say that it hasn't been there before, but like comic book media, I should say, not the medium, but comic book media really lean into this idea of having a scoundrel like archetype, you know, that like when you think of like the comic book pantheons of Marvel, DC, etc., like there aren't a lot of Han Solos or Lando Calrissians.
No,
there are heroes.
That's exactly what Star-Lord is. So.
Yeah, like he could hang out with Han or Lando or Tobias Beckett or, you know, any of those people. And that's, I think that, and I really do love that. And, you know, not to plug or, you know, maybe if you compare James Gunn's like masterpiece of a fucking trilogy to I's Bastards, but like that was the joke we made. Like after we recorded the first episode, because we didn't know what was going to happen. None of us knew what the other person's characters were. Like, you know, like Alden didn't know I was playing like a Force sensitive. They knew I was playing a Force sensitive because they didn't shut the fuck up about that. But like Dan didn't know I was playing a Force sensitive. I didn't know Dan was playing a Gungan. I didn't know that it was a cyborg Gungan. I didn't know Alden was playing like the Ithorian Hammerhead version of Saul Goodman. I didn't know Jerry was going to be like a cuddly assassin droid. We didn't know any of that. But like the first episode into the campaign, when we stopped recording, we all said, "Oh, so this is going to be like Star Wars. This is going to be like Guardians of the Galaxy by way of Star Wars."
Yeah.
Because like all of our characters are like scumbag pieces of shit. Like I play an ex Inquisitor. Alden's a scumfuck lawyer. Thawb was a lawyer. This is like Saul Goodman type, and Dan's playing Zuzo Yort, who's this like vagrant kleptomaniac Gungan.
Yeah.
And we're all like, yeah, that's exactly the vibe we're gonna end up having by the end of it. And then you have 4D with Jerry's character who joins late, and he's like this hybrid of Rocket and Groot, where he's an assassin droid that's programmed for hyper violence with the personality of like a fun, cute, like kind protocol droid. It is that exact vibe of like, look at all these misfit shitbags who all end up on a team together, who all make each other better. And like, is it a brand new concept of fiction? No, but James Gunn really elevated that archetype into something that is ubiquitous now. Star-Lord, this whole like the whole mythos of Peter Quill being this like this guy who loves like 70s and 80s yacht rock. That's just a part of his character for forever now.
Oh yeah.
And
that was all just Gunn.
That was James Gunn. That was Jim Gunn, baby. Not Jim Gunn, James Gunn. I was trying to be fun, and then I realized I just described a different person. Who has that?
So for better or for worse, the music is now officially part of Star-Lord.
Yeah, I mean, and I've seen people complain about that kind of thing, but lest we forget how many things about Batman were born of adaptations and not the comics.
It's true. It's very true.
Fucking grappling hooks and stuff. Those are on-screen appearances we have to thank for that, and these adaptations of these characters help them grow in different directions, and it's all a part of this giant like culture, like nerd cultural milieu that like James Gunn built an institution with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and it was after that point and to this day, every time there's a new Marvel project announced and I see people go, "Oh, I don't know if they could pull this off," I'm like, I see kids dressed up as kids are dressing up as fucking Groot for Halloween.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe like the sheer commercialism of it isn't like necessarily a good marker for quality inherently. And I'll cede that ground. Sure. But like, it's affected the next generation, in many ways. And I've heard people say it, like Guardians of the Galaxy's in it. Like, thankfully Star Wars came back. But like for a lot of kids, like Guardians is going to be their first like Star Wars-y type of exposure.
I mean, that was the conversation when they announced Volume 1, right? Like a lot of people, like Armin included, and when Joel and Matt were on the channel, they had the conversation of like, if they play this right, Guardians could be the generation Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like the Gen Z and Gen Alpha, like it will be. Obviously, this was, as you say, pre-Disney buying Star Wars, where it looked like nothing else was going to come out.
I mean, it was post, but it was pre-Force Awakens. Like it was pre us getting our like hyperspace legs back, culturally. But no, absolutely.
I'm glad that
I agree. I was listening at that time. I agree with what Matt, Joel, and Armin were saying. Y'all's Joel, not my Joel.
Yeah.
Canadian Joel.
Too many Joels.
Too many Joels. But no, and I do love it. And, there's it truly is like this like fun example of what the MCU can do. And, it's proof that whenever, the movies start to influence the comics and that one-way street becomes a two-way street, that a lot of people point to instances where like, after The Dark Knight Rises came out, like it took a couple years for Bane to stop looking like Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
And it was frustrating. And And I can agree with that. You know, like the fur jacket and like the goofy respirator instead of a
The
helmet.
metal crab on his face.
Yeah. Even though I do like Vader Bane, for that movie and that movie alone, I went to call him Darth Bane, and I went, "That's a Sith. That's a different fucking character." I did the same thing I did with Jim Gunn. But I think that, again, seeing the way the comics have, or the movie has influenced the comics, you know, you get and then you have the game, which I've not beaten the game. I've played a good bit of it. It's one that I kind of pick up and put down and pick up and put down. I do see the hype around it. I get why people love it. The story's great. It's fascinating. The gameplay isn't super for me. And that, again, that might be my own fault because I pick it up and
that
put it
was
down.
my, like, the story for me, because I only watched the playthrough, right? I didn't actually end up picking it up, mainly because of the Avengers game and how that turned out. I was like, I'm put off. I fell into that trap.
Hot take, and granted, I didn't play Avengers until like after everybody else did, and I got it for free after I got my PlayStation. I don't mind it. I don't mind Avengers. Now, granted, I came to it after, 1,000 different bug fixes. And like,
that's going to be the same thing with Survivor, like Jedi Survivor, right? To come back to that, I would say come back to that, to actually bring that up, because obviously that's fresh now. Like, a lot of people have had problems with that, but if you wait a minute, you're going to get a totally different experience with that game.
Yeah, I feel bad for the people who have had some issues. Our review of Jedi Survivor is going to be coming out on Sunday. We had B Dazzler, TikTok's own, on to talk about it, and she was in the same boat as us. Like, me, Connor, and Brooke all had very little issues. The only consistent issue,
stuns me.
I played it on a PS5. I had zero problems.
I'll say, were you all on PS5 as well?
I was on PS5. Connor was on PS5. Brooke played on her boyfriend's Xbox.
Okay. And say, because I finished in there, right? I finished it like 2 days ago. The back half of that game, for me, it might have been one of the patches, and I'm pretty certain it is. It would drop, especially on Kobo, would drop to about 8 FPS quite frequently.
The only time I experience, like, I'm sure I experienced it a couple of times, but like the time that I noticed it the most, my first playthrough, like, because I played through the story, and then I
twice, didn't you?
I beat it the first weekend, and then I went back and kind of took my time with the story on New Game Plus. My first playthrough, I didn't experience this on the second time around. My first playthrough, the issue I would encounter is every time I would return to Kobo. So if I went to Jeddah or like the Shattered Moon or whatever, Mantis would touch down on Kobo. And I was coming off the ship, and I was just trying to haul ass to Pyloon Saloon. So I would just do like the double jump dash.
Yep.
I'd try to like double jump dash, land, double jump dash. And I hit a frame rate drop every blessed time I did that.
Yeah.
That was the only.
Do you know where else you get it constantly as well?
Where?
Or at least for me, I get it constantly. You go through that into the main bar in Pyloons, straight away drops.
See, I've never. I don't think I've had one in like that foyer area where you look at like the eyeball droid.
Yeah, literally right after that. Yeah.
See, I've never hit that one. And it's weird because, like, and obviously, like, at the ComicBookCast Facebook group, I saw people joking about, like, the moment anything is happening on screen other than Cal standing still. Like, I like, in terms of saber stances, and we'll get back to Guardians of the Galaxy, I promise. Mitch and I haven't had a chance to talk about Survivor yet.
No.
I would,
especially because I've only just finished it. Like,
yeah,
and I've beaten it twice. And
I'm a good friend, and I don't talk about shit until I know people are done.
It's true. It's very true.
I keep my mouth shut.
I think one thing spoiled for me, really.
Oh, I'm glad you could dodge it.
It was only Rick. I say only Rick, right? The fact that the best of us, right?
Yeah.
But I had Rick spoiled for me, and I was like, God damn it.
The Rick is also very funny. I saw somebody found a way to not kill Rick, the door technician.
Really?
Yeah. Well, they fought him, and they lured him to the ledge you come from. And then they picked Rick up with the Force and Force pushed him onto the other side of that cabin and then just walked the fuck away. Which is more demeaning than killing him. I was like, oh, that's funny. They didn't kill Rick. And I'm like, no, you insulted him instead.
To be fair, the game insults him by not giving him his own data entry.
That's true. But no, we were talking about like the frame rate drops, all this stuff. I use saber staff and dual wield for most of my playthrough. So like I use the two most fast paced styles.
Oh,
I was a blur. I was a blur, and I did not experience like, and again, maybe not one that I noticed, but like I did not experience a significant drop, and like I fought fast. Like I was going like I was just trying to fuck people up. And I didn't encounter a lot of issues, and that was the case for me with Fallen Order. I beat Fallen Order in that first week, and then every time I returned to it, I had more and more bugs. I was like, I don't know what the fuck has happened to this game, because I would pick it up like at least once a year to like play through the story. Like in November, that became a tradition for me for those couple years between Fallen Order and Survivor. Every time I picked up, I'm having more and more issues with traversal, and I don't know why.
I'll say anyway. The funniest glitch I've had in that game, though, I was in the archive on Jeddah, right, to try and be really spoiler free after a certain point, right, and you know how BD like runs behind you and then rockets and jumps onto your back.
Yes,
he did that at the point where I jumped up a ramp, like one of the few ramps in that area.
Okay,
and my frame rate literally went down to 3. Right. And because of that, BD1 kept going on the same level to where the back of Cal was, did the animation to stick to his back, and then just stayed there. But I'm like 3 foot above him. So every time I jumped and dashed, you just saw BD come out the floor and go forward, and then back into the ground again.
That's funny. I did not have an issue like that. I just heard a cat fall right off a cat tree. Most of one of them completely eat shit. But anyway, all of that.
That's even funnier for me.
It is. It's actually really funny. I tweeted two videos of Richard getting stuck inside of a San Pellegrino box, by accident twice, yesterday. Anyway, all of that to say, with the game, from what I've experienced with the game, it's another example of like recontextualizing these characters that were like, to borrow a Star Wars term, like the ultimate glup shittos of Marvel. You know, we're like, it is such an incredible testament. You know, I know Mitch and Armin don't super love Guardians 2. I used to be really in that camp. After rewatching it, I've softened on it a lot. I do have similar issues with the humor still. I don't feel as strongly about it as I used to.
I stand by it's the second worst Scooby-Doo movie. Live action Scooby-Doo movie. I stand by that.
I'm going to keep it 100 with you, Mitch, because I love you. I could not agree with you less. I think like that is such a wild piece of trade to throw at that movie that has never made sense to me. But you know, to each their own. No. But
I do like a lot of that movie though, but a lot of it does show itself up a little bit.
For me, I still stand by what I said before, is that even though I don't love the first half, from Yondu's Prison Break and on, that is one of the best movies in the MCU, and I can't agree. I can't disagree with anybody who gives that movie that praise, because I do feel so strongly about the back half, minus the fucking David Hasselhoff thing. Every time I was watching it with Taylor, and I was like, why? It's so out of place. Like, this is so wild. I don't know what the fuck I'm watching, but
I like the character arcs. That's as much as I can say.
The arcs are great, yeah. And you know, to bring us to this movie, especially post our little non sequitur about Jedi Survivor. Richard, stop throwing your toys under the door to the studio. I can't get them for you. He just punted it, and now he's reaching for it. Go play with one of the other toys, buddy. I'm sorry.
So just quickly, I could not believe you haven't seen the holiday special.
So the reason I didn't see the holiday special, I will fix it the day after Thanksgiving.
That's horrendous. You've done yourself a disservice.
I know I have. Well, here's the thing. Taylor and I wanted to watch it together, and we're probably going to end up watching it together right before Christmas. We ended up not being able to see each other around Christmas because I was still living in Latrobe. Obviously, I live with her now, but I was still in Latrobe at the time. And the weather, like the week of Christmas, got super bad. And she drives a little itty bitty car and has had some really near misses on ice and shit.
Yeah.
So
That's fair.
there was like an agreement of like, okay, we're gonna take an L and then like celebrate our own mini Christmas later. Which
Did you do the
it
mini
was a little
Christmas
bit
later
fun.
though?
Yes, we did. We did.
You didn't watch it then. That's disappointing.
And well, she kind of went rogue and watched it and with my permission.
Wow, then you
and
have
I didn't
no
want to.
excuse now.
And I didn't want to watch it with. I didn't want to watch it without her.
You have no.
I know. I take the L. I said I take the L. That I look forward to seeing it, but I go into this review without the context, the full context of the holiday special. I did know about the Mantis Star-Lord sibling ship and how they adopt Cosmo along the way. And then it kind of lays the groundwork for Peter and his like weird relationship with his, earthly heritage. But coming to Guardians 3, having, the not only the prior two movies, but also Infinity War and Endgame and the holiday special. I do want to talk about the High Evolutionary like immediately, like now that we're properly talking about the movie. And
you mean the Kang variant? No.
I was.
That's the face I wanted. That's the exact reaction.
Is it a decision?
It's that dumb. It's that dumb.
Is it a decision I would make? No.
Don't say you'd be all right with it.
Could I be sold on it?
No, you could not.
I could. I could be sold. I could. It's all about framing. Any idea can work. Idea can work. It's all about framing and writing.
A certain other studio has proven that some ideas cannot work, and they're not in a very good spot right now.
Yeah, touche. But I love that the High Evolutionary is kind of like every single threat the Guardians have faced rolled up into one. Like you have this, I wouldn't go so far as to call the High Evolutionary like a religious fanatic.
No, but he's got a god complex.
But he has a god complex, not unlike Ronan, and with a similar chip on his shoulder. And he is in many ways this like vile father figure that checks so many boxes for all the other Guardians in Peter with Ego, with Gamora and Nebula with Thanos. And you have this again, somebody who has so much conviction that they're doing something to help the universe at large, like Thanos. And I love the fact that, as everybody has said going into this movie, that this movie is the one that secretly reveals that this was actually Rocket's trilogy.
I love that line.
The story's always been about you. Oh my God. Jarod, the movie crier, was having a hell of a time. Let me tell you.
I don't think I've cried as much in the movie as I have this one. And I've got daddy issues, and I saw Logan, so
I out loud whenever those High Evolutionary goons gunned down Teefs and Floor. I think the High Evolutionary shot Lila himself, but like when those like goons like shot them and not Rocket, I out loud like almost did a Marty McFly. Like I went, "You bastards!" Like I didn't yell it like he does in Back to the Future, but like I felt like I said it out loud under my breath, like "You bastards." Yeah. I was like, I at that point I was just like, "Yep, it's everybody's catching a fade. Everybody's gonna die. I'll fucking kill them all." But I do love the way that like, Rocket has kept so much of this trauma and this hurt like bottled up, and it's like put it behind all these like veneers of self-assurance and anger and disinterest that when the Guardians get to watch like the hollow of it, of what was what had happened to him, they all realize that Rocket. I think Nebula even says like what he did to him was worse than what Thanos did to me. Nebula even says it, but like I think they all understand, even though they don't explicitly say it. Like Rocket has dealt with everything we dealt with rolled up into one fucking guy.
Yeah.
This is Ego. This is Thanos. This is Ronan. This is like every scumfuck who has ruined our lives and taken our choices away from us is made manifest in the High Evolutionary. And I also love, aside from the God complex and then the horrifying, almost, I don't say this lightly, but like almost that very like Nazi Germany, like Dr. Mengele kind of like, I'm going to like perform horrific science because I have like a random question about anatomy.
Yeah.
And like the horrifying nature of like, how does this work? And just like having this blasé reaction to just like vivifying beings together. That it is horrific. And I also like that is juxtaposed with a very, the CEOs won't save us message.
Yeah.
That like, yes.
Oh, but this movie's very apolitical and no.
Yeah, so it's not woke. That's why it's so much money. Fucking run face first into a brick wall. But I really do love, or just fall down like Mantis.
That was Scooby-Doo joke done well.
That was a Scooby-Doo joke done well. Mantis was in an episode of Ridiculousness.
Yeah, she was.
She literally scorpioned several times.
Yeah. Each one gets progressively worse.
That
last one, I genuinely thought she died. I was like, oh, they're faking out everyone's death here, and we just watched her die.
So funny. She hit the ground so hard every time. Like it. Well, and Taylor made a joke. I don't know if Mitch, if I've told you this story. I know I've told it on the show a couple times. Thanksgiving of 2021. We celebrated it late because my entire family caught COVID. So we pushed it off by a week, and then we're actually celebrating. And because none of the normal Thanksgiving stuff is on TV, we go, oh, hey, there's a marathon of the Raimi Spider-Man movies on Sci-Fi. And we're watching Spider-Man 3 during our like makeup Thanksgiving. And we all become deeply entertained by the fact that every time Harry Osborn hits his head, there's like a Tom and Jerry cartoon sound.
Kong. Yeah.
Ping! Like every time he gets hit, there is like it sounds like a Tom and Jerry cartoon. And my poor aunt walks into the room at the moment where like Venom runs Harry through and shit whips him across the scaffolding. And it's just like it's like this like really intense moment, and then Harry hits his fucking head on the way down, and just on cue, ping, and we all lose our shit laughing. And my aunt's like, "What was funny about that?" And anyway, Mantis keeps eating shit the whole movie. And Taylor looked over at me. She's like, "Mantis is taking a page out of the Harry Osborn book." Fucking right. But anyway. I love that there is very much like framing that, yes, the High Evolutionary, like quite literally is a deity to several societies, cultures, and beings because he quite literally created them. But also like he has this whole corporation and it's like, oh, look at all this humanitarian work. Look at like it is very, again, the billionaires are not going to save us. I don't think it should be lost on anybody that this gajillionaire, while doing all of his humanitarian work to save the universe and make humanity better, decided to leave the planet while he was destroying it on the way out. I don't think that was an accident. I don't.
No,
Maybe I'm reading
in his big rocket ship as well. Yeah,
in his gigantic rocket ship, shaped like some type of holy obelisk.
With a nice reference to his comic colors, by the way, the silver and red, and that's great.
Yeah, but not political.
Unfortunately. Very
Very apt. But no,
mm,
I did really love the characterization here. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, top 5 villain, maybe the best MCU villain."
he's up there
He's
easily.
up. He's absolutely up there. Absolutely up there. And the performance. Mitch, please say his name so I'm not mean and say
But
it
the High
wrong.
Evolutionary,
Yes, the actor, please.
Chuck Woody, I can't remember his second name.
I think it's Uwuji.
Yeah. I was
Okay.
gonna say he made a joke about James Gunn getting him confused for Chiatel, and I almost did the exact same thing there, unironically.
It's
I was gonna say Chuck Woody. Yeah, it's just like, damn it.
yeah, Chuck Woody Ejiofor? No.
Yeah.
But Woody, his performance is so like wow. Like
Yeah.
there is an intensity there. There were decisions made by Gunn as a writer and director, and decisions by Wuji as an actor to not let the High Evolutionary be like surface level. Like there's that old
Yeah.
adage with actors that like never go with your first choice.
No.
Like on surface level, this like god complex mad scientist, there could have been like a very mustache twirly element to him, and instead they went the route of like this like very intellectual, um intelligent monster,
Yeah.
and made him infinitely scarier, because he felt real in a way that was just really unsettling. And I think that there's just again like part of our cultural consciousness, and our collective cultural consciousness, um that is that fears the mad doctor. That there is
Mm.
something intensely horrifying about somebody who sees humanity almost as like a computer program that can be constantly upgraded and patched, and or just beings in general, not to exclude all the alien races that are horrifically experimented on, and animals. But it I think it is like a cultural touchstone for a lot of people that I do think comes out of like what we know happened during the Second World War, and
Yeah.
that we just culturally like know like there are sick fucks who are super excited to do this kind of thing to people they
Mm.
view as less than, to people they view as like an underclass that can be actively tortured for out of sheer curiosity.
Mm.
And
I mean, like, there's a reason why Frankenstein's a horror, right?
yeah, yeah,
It's that exact thing, and it came about because of that. Like, it's just that general fear of someone like that. People obviously misread and think Frankenstein's a monster, but it's always Dr. Frankenstein is the
yeah.
monster.
Yeah, it's it is the fun little paradox of like people who have read Frankenstein know that the monster isn't Frankenstein, but know that Frankenstein is a monster. Um, which is, you know, a fun little word game there. But yeah, no, High Evolutionary, incredible direction for a third villain here.
Mm.
And again, like it it is a really interesting, you know, arc of villains that we have, like the religious zealot who is hell-bent on devastation and destruction. You have the horrible father, horrible fathers that rip away your innocence and take away your choices. And we climax with this mad scientist who is a combination of all of them.
Mm.
Is perfect casting, perfect direction, just perfect performance. Like
Oh yeah.
the High Evolutionary is one of those instances where something is so good that I don't know how to talk about it. Like it's just like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know
No.
I don't know what to say. Like good, like yes, here are the thumbs up. Like this was fucking great, and I have no notes, and I have so it was so good that I have practically nothing to say about it, if that makes sense.
No. I know. I totally agree because I was I liked Chuck Woody in Peacemaker. I'm not a huge fan of that show, but I thought he done good in there, and I was interested to see why Gunn chose him. But then we got that little Tom Hiddleston bit at Comic-Con where he comes out and he is just chewing it and twirling that mustache, right? I'm like, oh no. But he plays it the exact same way in this movie, but we have the context.
Yeah.
And it just works.
It is the like, I think the thing that makes him so menacing is that
he has that smile.
It's the smile, and it's the fact that like he's hanging on by a thread.
Yeah.
And like,
especially post what Rocket does.
Yeah. Quite literally when his shit starts falling off.
Yeah.
I do love someone's ate shit off a cat tree again. And I think we've all, dealt with somebody who's like who we can tell is putting on a calm face that we've seen kind of come unglued, that like we at whatever point in our lives have been like somewhat afraid of and have like a fear of, because we know they are being calm with me by choice and at any moment could go nuclear.
Yeah.
And there's a fear there that person is aware of and is taking advantage of. And we really get that with a High Evolutionary, and that there are these moments where like he starts to come like untethered, and like, like the moment
when the jealousy really sets in.
Yeah. Like obsession with like, how did a fucking raccoon outsmart me and all of this stuff. And
I mean, it's not even that. It's that I made you. How are you smarter than like? It's not understanding that one simple thing.
Yeah. Like all of these things, and like watching him slowly come untethered, or like, but that's juxtaposed with like the moments where like Quill and Groot go into the command center, his little like command deck area. Cool as a cucumber. Like, he lashes out a couple times, but like reasonably. And then you see him just frantically, how did you know? Ate one piece of you. He really starts to freak the fuck out. And, you see that like authority get challenged whenever like that little mini mutiny starts. And you start to see him just kind of destabilize in the way the obsession completely consumes him and is his undoing. It is absolutely incredible. Another thing I do want to talk about, and I am a staunch opponent of praising one thing by way of bashing another. I think it's frustrating. Useful comparisons are one thing. So when I say this, I don't want it to come across as I don't think Endgame had a good ending because people died. I love Endgame. I can't watch it without sobbing. It is a movie that like deeply affected me and still does. I do truly love that this mini franchise within the MCU, being Guardians, has so much been about, the galaxy is cruel. The galaxy does not care. And the galaxy is you get what you put into it, and sometimes you will find people who care about you. And with this story about a bunch of scoundrels, it can kind of only go one of two ways. The universe sucks, so fuck it.
Yeah.
Or breaking cycles. And from the first movie, they began breaking cycles. And with how, like, with the cross that so many of these characters have to bear, it felt like an inevitability that this trilogy could only end with a primary character losing their life in the name of doing better and breaking cycles. So the fact that this ended with
after faking every character out during the movie,
and I mean that's just suspense and stakes,
I mean, well, one of them completely took me out, but we'll get to that later on.
Well, I like many people was sobbing during that like Dog Days Are Over scene, and I
What was
was
that again?
the Dog Days Are Over.
Yeah, which scene was that in? I can't remember.
The end where they're all dancing and stuff to Florence and the
Oh
Machine.
yeah. Brain felt.
No, you're good. That like I was like, they all made it. Everyone's okay. Like that really affected me, and I love, I in an aggressively cynical world, I love like almost delusional optimism, and and maybe it's my Star Wars roots coming through, that a story that ends with just a very loud declaration of hope will always stick with me.
Mm.
Seeing everybody not have to die to grow, like that really moved me. Everyone's okay. Everyone's going to go their separate ways for now. I'm sure one day they'll meet again. But
A few of them will. At least 2 of them ain't coming back.
well, yeah, I mean, I think they'd be able to get Batista back for at least some amount of like, hey guys, like I love you. To so I do not think Batista. I think Batista does not love working with Disney. I think Batista also loves Drax enough to look at his relationship with the other characters and like say no to them getting to have some type of reunion. Small.
I guess it all depends. I think there's a lot of obstacles in the way for both Batista and Saldana to come back.
Yeah.
No. Saldana mainly, she's signed her soul away to Cameron, and she's going to be an Avatar for the next 500 million years.
Yeah. She's going to be in Avatar.
She's going to be blue for the rest of her life.
She is. We've pulled the yellow pigment out. That is just blue now. But yeah, I love that decision. I love that everybody.
Same.
It was very the empty child. Everybody lives just this once, and I left the theater with a very big smile on my face. Like I left that theater, sad obviously for like the parts of the movie that are heartbreaking, like Rocket and all his adorable friends, but like I left the theater really happy that like I didn't have to mourn a single character. Like I left Endgame. Like
I was devastated after.
I left Endgame, and there was there was that sense of triumph, like we did it, but like already missing Iron Man, already missing Black Widow. Knowing that like whatever's happening with Steve, he's not in play, and it was affecting. As someone who loves those characters, here I know they're going to be okay. Like Nebula doing the whole like, like and it is seeing the way that everybody has overcome what was in front of them. Like obviously with Peter, like it's kind of the through line of the movie, learning to swim, as it were. That he is done running from things he has to face. He is done papering over every single issue and loss he's had with like another woman, another adventure, running away from everything. He's gonna go back to Earth now, and I love that. I love that like Nebula says, like you're not a destroyer, you're meant to be a father. That Drax can overcome like that like sense of violent vengeance. Because he doesn't have to go like hunting the despots of the universe anymore necessarily. He can stay on nowhere and take care of these kids.
Which I adored that, by the way. I know, because obviously we don't know where Moondragon is, right? We don't know if they even have plans for that character. to even come in. And I didn't even think we'd ever get Phyla Vel, yet here we are with, they don't call her Vel, they just call her Phyla in this. But I love the idea, and it's part of the reason why I'm just like, oh, there's a bit of deflation with this movie, mainly because the stuff of outside of it. But the idea that Drax has Phyla to raise instead of Moondragon, like, I love that idea.
So
you hear Batista talk, and you're just like, man, like just come back with give me that one scene when she's older. And there's that
and again, that's what I'm saying. I think that there could be room for him to return to.
There's absolutely room, but would he come back?
So give me the quick skinny on the Drax children thing here, because this is something that I know is a thing, but like,
yeah, well, obviously in the comics, Moondragon is Drax's daughter, right? There's a whole complicated thing. Obviously, they're nothing alike to say nothing alike. There's similarities, but Drax in the comics was Arthur. He got made by Thanos' dad or uncle, one of the two, and then bang, Drax the Destroyer. In this, obviously not the case, but Moondragon somehow, I can't remember how she came back, but obviously you have that father-daughter relationship there. Phyla Vel is Moondragon's partner. Obviously they are LGBTQ and all that. And of course in this, we know Drax's daughter, quote, dead. We haven't seen her, so there's no body, but you can always retcon something there. But just to have that connection with those two characters, I'd love to see. And that should be explored. But if we get it, we get it. If we don't, like Quill, we're just gonna have to let it go.
Yeah. But okay.
Or treat it like the Zune and just run back and almost die for it. But
well, I do love Rocket having the Zune now. I think that's a very fun way to pass the torch. But yeah, so you see Drax get to fully become a father at last again. Rocket, obviously, all those barriers are finally gone, and he's able to live his life and be happy fully, having processed and let go of a lot of what had plagued him. And that is so deeply moving. Nebula getting to become a leader. She was someone who was so locked inside of like Thanos's, very militant set that she now gets to be a leader, and the leader that he never could have been. All of these arcs are just so beautiful and profound. And I also want to say, like, James Gunn did something really impressive with Gamora. Like,
yeah,
he managed to stick the landing with like time displaced evil Gamora. I did air quotes for people who are listening to this and not watching. That was impressive. That they made that work as well as they did. Like, there was a lot of low hanging fruit that could have been, reuniting Quill and Gamora. That could
because you could have gone the typical, they're always destined for each other and this
destined for each other, or just that, like, or not even like a destined for each other, but just reiterate that, like, that is how much Gamora did love Peter.
Yeah.
Is that like he was able to break down those walls no matter what. They're like that, like not, and again, like, it is kind of like a meant to be together, but not so much a destined, so much as it is like you two are so made for each other.
Yeah.
And again, could that have been handled well? Absolutely. Again, and I am very much of the opinion there's no such thing as a bad story, just bad execution. And that could have happened. Instead, I love that Peter is taught one final lesson by Gamora, and it is to let go. And to accept.
It's okay that people grow apart, people change.
Yeah. Like, that was really beautiful. And seeing that Gamora, that I love that James Gunn also, like, I don't want to say for the fans necessarily, but like understood that, like, we as the audience see the Guardians as the people who saved Gamora from Thanos in many ways.
Yeah.
Who helped not only bring her in to that fold, but like also helped her make the choices to save her soul and do better by her sister. All of that was facilitated by the Guardians. So that seeing this new Gamora who like has just recently chosen to renege against Thanos be put in a situation where what's she gonna do? What's she up to? Where's her head at? That you want the Guardians to be able to take her back in.
Ironically, they
'cause you
do
know-
just the wrong team of Guardians.
yeah, and that's what I love. And
Yeah.
I love that like that was like for me, like as someone who like as the part of the audience cares about Gamora, I'm like, I don't want her to be alone.
No.
I don't want her to have to face what's going on by herself. I know how much these people helped the other iteration of her. I would love to see the Gamora variant get a similar level of like love and empowerment. And I love that answer of like, yes, Peter Quill loves her. He's not the only person in the galaxy who loves Gamora.
No.
And that was really great. Also, I just love Sylvester Stallone in these movies. More of him, please.
I say it's obviously a very different version of what's his name? Stakar. I can never remember his damn character's name. But Stakar O'Gord or something like that. It's definitely O'Gord because then you have Michelle Yeoh's character, who she wasn't in this movie, but she's a leader, and there's a whole. They're very complicated, those two, or that character. I always wanted more from Volume 2. Seeing that original like Guardians 3000 lineup, I would have done anything for that. Obviously, we're like 6 years apart now, and we're probably not going to get that lineup, which is unfortunate because there was no Yo, there was no. Is it Ving Rhames who was Charlie 27? I'm certain it is.
I think that sounds right.
Yeah, and then obviously Miley Cyrus was mainframe, but we don't need to worry about that. It's only a voice role, and Tara Strong was just as fine in this movie as that role. But I'd love to see more of those, especially now with Gamora, because you know it's very much obviously a case of it's not who you meet, it's when you meet sort of situation.
Yeah. And it was just so wholesome, you know, like again with that cascading dog days like that like just how sweeping that music is in that moment. It's seeing Gamora arrive back with those Ravagers, with the other Guardians. That was awesome. Like seeing everyone hugging her and loving her. That you know, we as the audience, we think the Ravagers are like, oh, we're thinking like how cutthroat Yondu's crew was and all of that. No, that's not the fucking case. They do care about each other, and it just everybody had a happy ending, you know.
Yeah, they did.
Everybody looked damn good. You know, I will make one small cosmetic complaint that I didn't like that Star-Lord didn't have his helmet. I know I know James Gunn. I know James Gunn gave his like reasoning.
I don't care what Gunn said. That was dumb as hell.
I mean, listen.
In the context of the movie, yes, he has an alcohol problem at the start of this movie. I can appreciate the pulling that from the comics and making him more like the Star-Lord that I fell in love with in like the mid to late 2000s. But you're telling me he doesn't have other helmets apart from the one? There's no helmet on the Bowie. There's no one else has the helmet like that they could have picked up. Like the jet boots, I can totally understand. Man doesn't need jet boots. You can do that. But the fact that this little thing lives on the back of his ear and he hasn't got it anywhere in this movie, I don't. It comes from a place for me personally, purely that I've been waiting 9 damn years for that suit and that helmet to be on screen, and I don't get two together. And then he has the audacity to fake out his death in space and not have the helmet because he quote forgot it. I can't forgive that one. That one hurt.
I understand that, and I had a feeling that was your complaint that you were alluding to when we spoke last week. I will say I do agree with you in part. I think that it could have been really easily like kind of papered over if like that was called attention to.
Yeah.
Like if like whenever shooting started at one point, if Peter went to like and like bring the helmet up, he went, "Fuck, I forgot it." And someone goes,
Or
"How
just
the
have
fuck?"
it break
And
again.
someone goes like, "Dude, how the fuck did you forget your helmet?" And they're like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I was like hung over and like woken up out of his stupor when Adam attacked."
Or just show that he's left the helmet behind. Right. There's so many different ways, but the movie forgets it.
Yeah.
Ironically, the same way Quill apparently forgets it, but Gunn forgot to even address it in the movie. Like you can't just leave that up. Right?
Yeah. I mean, again, I understand that like I don't take as much umbrage with it. I do understand your complaint in the same way that it's like, you know, a lot of why I held on to a lot of Snyderverse stuff for a minute was like, I just want to see all these characters on screen together. Like, I just want to see a Batman that wears fucking gray and not all black and doesn't kill people. Like, come on, like let's come on, guys. We're so close. Let's not fuck this up. Oh, Superman's wearing bright blue. He's wearing bright blue, and Batman's wearing gray. We're so close. I just want to see it, please. I get it.
Yeah, I said it must be. I try not to have that sort of reaction, but there's very specific characters that I just can't let that go with. One was Iron Man. These the Guardians, specifically Quill. That suit and that helmet for me is iconic. That's how you know who you're looking at. And like the red vest and the gold arms for Iron Man. I waited a long time. I got it. It might have been for one movie, but I got it. It was there.
Yeah.
Now, Star-Lord could come back. It says in the movie that he will. Whether he does,
legendary Star-Lord will return.
Which I will absolutely take a Disney Plus legendary Star-Lord show. No. I don't even care if he's in space. Just have him be on Earth. No. It's
funny you say that because when I was talking to Taylor, she said a similar thing. Because no disrespect to Star-Lord, I am excited to see more of him. I really want to see more of the new Guardians team.
Oh, same.
And so like I was like, oh, like I can't wait for Guardians Volume 4. You know, James Gunn's leaving behind very big shoes to fill. Especially that we know like Adam Warlock is staying around, which excites me a lot.
Which by the way, there's I say this quite a lot actually with the MCU movies. There's a very rare case where actors are meant for roles. Like obviously, you know, the MCU, like Sarah Finn doesn't tend to miss.
No.
With casting. But whoever the fuck decided that Will Poulter, the eyebrow kid from Narnia, as Adam Warlock, God fucking bless you. I haven't seen much of his acting career, but fuck me. That like there's certain lines in this movie I can remember, but that like, well, let's not be rash. When that I can't remember who it is. It's either like Rocket or Gamora with that cat thing he picks up, and they threaten.
It's Gamora.
Yeah, like just that the timing in that sort of lines from him was perfect. Loved it.
Absolutely.
Give me more.
And Sarah Finn.
This motherfucker don't miss.
No, he's fucking good.
That motherfucker don't miss, man.
He's good.
In the heat of battle, he don't miss.
No.
In the heat of controversy, he don't miss.
No.
I'd like to point out, this has been an hour, and that's the first clip.
Yeah, I know.
That might be a record.
No. We've gone longer without clips. And
really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There have been entire episodes where I don't play a clip until like the Patreon stuff.
Damn.
No, I have restraint, Mitch. Not every episode is like morning radio shock jock, Zooey Mama, you know, shit. But anyway. But no, I was like, oh, I want to see so much of the new Guardians. And Taylor was like, I don't think they should do a Guardians 4. I think they should do a show. And I was like, maybe. I not to admonish the Disney Plus shows because I have loved a good deal of them, but there is a little bit of an inconsistency with some of the crazier stuff, you know. And now, granted, Andor was a TV show. Mando is a TV show.
Oh, you brought up the wrong Star Wars show first with the wrong person here.
I know, but I'm just saying, like,
I
those
know.
shows they got ridiculous fucking budgets.
Yeah.
They got bonkers fucking budgets, and we're able to do things that you don't see on TV very often.
No.
Like, I would not be surprised if Disney decided to throw a like Game of Thrones Mandalorian level budget. Naya's going apeshit at a Guardians TV show, be it, the adventures of the legendary Star-Lord or, the new Guardians of the Galaxy, whatever they do. And I know I gave them like they're an actual comic book run titles. I'm sure they come up with something a little better than that, but they could do it. I would prefer to see it on screen. And I would like to see because again, James Gunn leaves really big shoes behind. I would love to see who they pick to replace him. Like, I don't like to be that person who's like, no one could ever touch this or do this better. I hate that mentality.
But it's hard to see with these.
It's hard to see who could fill his role.
Yeah, especially when we haven't actually seen it, because yes, they've been in other things that Gunn hasn't directed, but he
Gunn
was
had
in
his
charge.
fingers in the pot. Yeah,
exactly. He was in charge of their dialogue in Infinity War and Endgame. So he's always been there to make them feel consistent. And it's obviously it's not a bad thing that other people tackle these characters. Like, we're going to get new Spider-Man directors and creative team. Like, that's just how it's going to go. Like, it's not the same Captain America, but we're going to get different Captain America.
Yeah.
And Thor, for better or for worse, has had 3 people tackle that franchise.
I'd say for better.
So would I. Yeah, so
and a certain somebody who couldn't be here for this episode is just gonna have to accept that Thor: Love and Thunder is a great fucking movie.
Sensational. That's
motherfucker. Anyway, speaking of my favorite word, cool that we got our first MCU F-bomb.
We did, yeah. We did, yeah. And it doesn't feel out of place. It just felt natural.
It felt natural. Chris Pratt's delivery of it was great. That was such an organic
door.
I wish Travis was here. And Spencer. We bond so much over the F-bomb in Dark Phoenix.
I've only watched that movie once. I genuinely forgot that had an F-bomb in it.
It's the moment where Cyclops is threatening Magneto, where he's like, if you lay one hand on her, I will fucking kill you. And it's like, I don't want to take pot shots at T-Swizzle. But people joke about how, like, when she swears in her music, it sounds like her parents just gave her permission to cuss.
Yeah.
That like that's kind of how she swears. And that's how I get afraid sometimes with F-bombs in some of these movies. Not in some weird prudish way, obviously, but in more of like a, don't make it sound like we get one, so use it. Like, it became a meme to have Wolverine say fuck in these movies, and then it kind of got out of control. We're like, we have to say fuck in an X-Men. Here it was perfect, and it was very funny delivery. And whenever James Gunn was like, "We're gonna have our first F-bomb," and then like the clip came out, which, first of all, I hate American prudishness that like we had to give the audience 13 different warnings. That like James Gunn said it was all over the news cycle, and then the clip was released so that people knew exactly the moment where a superhero said the F word.
Yeah,
like that was so maddening. That level.
I would say we don't get it, but it's all over the internet, so of course everyone else gets it.
I know, and it's just like, I know, like I don't understand how the country that has like the insane politics that it does gets so upset with.
Can't say the fuck. Yeah,
you can't say the fuck word. You can't say the fuck word. Like, beer, gun, and bitches, and God, and like superhero said fuck, and it wasn't. It wasn't even in a sexual context. I was hoping they were gonna Knives Out it, because what people don't realize, and I've had this debate with so many people who say, "Oh, PG-13, you get one F-bomb." No, you don't. You get 2. Neither one can be sexual, though.
Oh, is that how it works?
Yes. Yeah. If you say like go fuck yourself,
Sexual, yeah.
you get one because that's the context of sex.
Yeah.
But if you look at like Knives Out or Glass Onion, both of those movies are rated PG-13, and people say fuck twice.
I've never noticed that.
Yeah.
Never noticed that.
Yeah.
You just
I
give
love
me a
it.
reason to watch the movies again. I appreciate it.
When I was in what grade was it? I can't remember. It was in high school. It was in 10th grade. I wrote. We had to do these like persuasive essays. I wrote one about the MPAA.
Yeah.
And why like the movie rating system is asinine and makes zero sense. It makes zero sense. And like the little things that can turn a movie into an R-rated film. Like, great example is the Avengers. They had to redo the scene where Loki killed Coulson because the scepter came out of his chest too far and therefore became too gory.
Well, that was for the UK, wasn't it? Didn't you guys actually have that?
No, I believe it was.
I always thought that the US had it. Obviously, like there's no blood on the end of the thing, right? It's just literally just the tip. It's just a spear. But in the UK, we don't even get the tip of it. They just hard edit the spear out.
That's funny. I do also know there was an issue with one of the Hobbit movies where an orc twitched too much after getting stabbed, and then one of the Hobbit movies got hit with an R rating, and they had to walk that back. Like, is it weird, asinine shit?
Yeah.
And that was my thing. Was like, like so I know a lot about like movie ratings and stuff, and people.
Well, it's like over here as well. When I was growing up, we always had 12, right? Obviously, we have different ratings. So you got you got PG, 12, 15, 18. That was our scale. Then growing up, they changed 12 to 12A. So it couldn't be, oh, you're 12, you can go with an adult permission. It has to be, you're 12, you have to have an adult to go in there. It's like, I don't get the movies never changed. You just then had to have an adult in there with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
I mean, listen, we'll get on like the movie ratings on sec. We're here for it in a second. The fact that like the movie rating system was designed in such a way that like it took like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom for them to realize like our options are kids movie and gore fest and nothing in between.
Yeah. I forget that was the PG-13, wasn't it? The first one.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was either the birth of PG or PG-13 that like that they needed a new middle, like another middle one.
Yeah.
That it was like, this certainly isn't for kids.
Nah.
At least when they were alone. But anyway, I was hoping there would be like a more climactic or like I was hoping there would be another F-bomb.
Yeah, now that you said it, I'm disappointed that there wasn't a second one.
I wanted somebody to have a more defiant one. Like that moment's really cute. Like, open the fucking door is really funny. I was hoping there would be a more defiant one because I was like,
Rocket could have really used.
I was hoping Rocket would get to drop an F-bomb because I looked at Taylor and I said that wasn't sexual. There's going to be a second one because I was like James Gunn's on that Ryan Johnson shit where he knows the exact amount of F-bombs he has. But yeah. Also, that's just again, we're talking about a Guardians movie, so it must be addressed. The soundtrack, incredible choices. Listen, when James Gunn announced the soundtrack, I did a victory lap because we finally got some Earth, Wind, and Fire action on here. And I just realized that I lied about something on Twitter by accident. There was this one thing. It was like, what was the last concert you saw? And I said, King Princess. I saw Earth, Wind, and Fire after that. I lied. But
wow, Jarod,
anyway,
wow.
I know. I can't believe I forgot.
Exposed himself on air. Wow.
I know. I'm a liar.
Oh, well, the grifter arc starts now.
Thank you for saying it.
I'm sick of being called a grifter. I'm sick.
I exist purely to have that soundboard go off.
Sensational.
Anyway,
it works every time.
But yeah, no, the Earth, Wind, and Fire needle. This movie, just like every other Guardians movie, like every single one of these needle drops just is so perfect, and that you know you can. Some people like have tried to replicate this, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, they have. It's failed miserably.
It is not. It is not for flavor. It is not for ambience. It is not for anything other than like it is. Like it is diegetic. Like for all
Yeah.
intents and purposes, I think James Gunn even said it. Like this is what the characters are hearing in their head.
Yeah.
Every time the needle drops are perfect. The Earth, Wind, and Fire one made me very happy. Yeah, and again, that's another thing that's like he leaves big shoes to fill, man. With how you do like a Guardians 4, like the awesome mix is an institution.
Yeah.
There cannot like if you do another Guardians, there cannot not be an awesome mix 4.
No, and that's a worrying thing, right? Because it's such a James Gunn trait, or at least he made it a trait of his own for having music in it, and it's now so attached. You know, it's literally character arcs. You can't take that Zune away from Rocket because that's already had an end game of the rest of the Guardians.
Yeah. Oh, finish your thought. That was another thing I wanted to talk about with Rocket.
It's virtually at the end of the thought.
Okay, I didn't want to cut you off.
It's so tied to who Quill is. It's so tied now to who Rocket is.
It's
and
the entirety of the Guardians. Yeah,
yeah. Like you can't. I wouldn't want someone to replicate it, but you can't physically not do it because you have to do it for the character. And if you come in here in a Guardians 4 and you know you could do as good as a job you want, if you take away that Zune, it's you just screwed everything. You just completely destroyed that movie.
I have a hard time disagreeing with you on that. If there is one stone that I am upset that got left unturned character-wise, I do wish they leaned into Rocket becoming a leader during the blip. And that like
Yeah,
I think that could have made for like, and I know that like the last move, I know that a lot of Guardians 2 was Peter and Rocket, like, you know, who's the real leader of this team. I think
ironically, it was Rocket the entire time.
There's a fucking Rocket. I also do love that pays off in this movie with Peter saying, like, you're a better leader than I ever could be. I wish that there had been what?
He calls him Captain, and my heart just breaks in that movie.
Oh my god, yes. I wish there had been a moment where there was like where Peter was like called out about the alcoholism and his behavior. Like I wish we got a little bit more time there, and I think that could have been a really like an interesting beat to have Rocket be like, "Listen, man, while you were gone, while everybody was gone, while I was mourning all of you, I for 5 years had to protect this galaxy and your home world all at the same time."
Yeah.
Everything was in shambles. Nebula and I did that for 5 fucking years. I understand that you are mourning Gamora. I understand that you want her back, and I hope that we can make that happen for you. But motherfucker, get it together, or maybe it's time to hang it up. And I wish there could have been a moment like that. You know, just a little bit. I wish. I
wouldn't have minded if this movie was 3 hours long.
Same.
Just like have a half hour of that at the start. Like that would have been perfectly fine with me. I would have welcomed it.
Yeah.
Knowing that this is like the end of this era of the Guardians, I'm still not ready to fucking let this go.
And I do
characters
love
mean too much to me. I'm just trying to grip on.
And I agree. And I do agree that there is something very cool about, you know, the framing for Quill, that yes, he's like entered this kind of like really ugly place, and the alcoholism is out of control, and that he is able to like act like a grown up again the moment Rocket's in trouble. Like I do really love that as a character beat for him, that all bets are off when Rocket's in trouble. I just wish that we got a little bit more time with like drunk piece of shit Quill. And that could have been fertile ground. Pardon my hiccups. It could have been fertile ground for Rocket to justifiably pull rank on him.
Yeah. But I think this comes down to it's not so much a problem here because I think Gunn, out of everyone recently, has handled it way better. But the current from Phase 4 onwards, actually, not all of Phase 4 because stuff like Eternals and I don't think Black Widow has it either. But a lot of these Marvel movies recently for Phase 4 and 5 have been quick. They run through the plot. They don't want to let anything lie for like 5 seconds. And I don't know if that's the case for what Phase 1 to 3, but it's something like Black Panther 1 had it for me. Like, I think for me that was the start of where everything just ran through the plot. I like that movie, but it's quick, and it's just been progressively getting quicker. And this movie is quick at the start. It's just like bang, 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 bang. Like here's the thing, 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 here's the thing. Bang, we're done. And I think they need to get away from that. But this movie definitely has the best for me.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't think you're necessarily wrong. It's not an observation I've made, but I can see that. You know, I'm thinking about it, and I can definitely see that. I think Black Panther, Wakanda Forever takes its time a little bit more.
Wakanda Forever does, yeah. But the first one for me,
But
thing,
like Love
it's not
and
as quick
Thunder,
as recent one. Love and Thunder is like
sprinting.
very,
It is sprinting through its story.
yeah.
You know, Multiverse of Madness is just so fucking weird in places that like it slows down by sheer virtue of everybody in the movie losing their shit. But no, I can see that. I can see that.
Like, it's been my one consistent complaint with a lot of these movies, and even some of the shows. They just run through it. I don't know where it's come from, why it decides to do it, but they just do it. And it's something I've wanted to see gone and like to go back to how it was before, like the pacing wise. But this one, you know, it can work, especially. I can't remember what movie it is. I don't think it's Guardians, but it's like, oh well, this happens over a course of like a day. Like Shang-Chi happens real quick, right? There's not a lot of time in that movie, like the timeline of it. So it makes sense. You've only got like 2 days to get through it. Like, cool. That makes sense to sprint through everything. But something like this, it should have at least at the beginning waited to, like, especially for how long it's been since we've seen these characters. It should have let you stew on where they are right now before Adam Warlock comes crashing in.
Yeah.
So I like the introduction of that character. Like, I thought everything about Warlock was great in this movie. And how it sets up everything. He just needs to lie and stew in it a little bit. Marinate is the word I was looking for.
I agree with you. I fully agree with you on that front. But yeah, no, I absolutely love this movie. This is an incredible send-off for this era of the Guardians. I'm excited to see what comes next. And not to focus on the what comes next of it all too much, but oh man, Superman Legacy is gonna fucking rule.
I find it hilarious. It's not a joke about anyone, but it's the general consciousness at the minute could not talk about this movie without bringing up Superman.
Well,
I understand why. And
I think a lot of it for me, a lot of it has to do with how hopeful the ending of this movie is.
I mean, there is that. It is in good hands. So.
It like there is an exaltation of like this movie rewards you for giving a shit about people.
Yeah.
This movie rewards you for giving a shit about animals. This movie rewards you for giving a shit.
Yeah.
And wanting to like, and
but
like
it's not
as
woke.
the audience, like we as the audience are rewarded for caring in a way that these characters weren't capable of when we first met them.
Yeah.
That central conceit and that ability to transform these, like, again, like vagrant mercenary pieces of shit into like straight up heroes and protectors. It's in the name, Guardians.
Yeah.
That is something that like it does make me very excited for Superman. It makes me incredibly excited to know that somebody who is not afraid of something's feeling hokey
Yeah.
being part of
the fact that we're getting crypto. Like,
yeah.
it's just there.
You know, like again, it takes me back to the Taika Waititi quote he had about Star Wars. It doesn't take itself super seriously, but it completely believes in itself.
Yeah.
That is the same kind of mentality that should be applied to Superman in many ways. And I think James Gunn gets that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So that's why I can't not bring up
completely with
Superman.
you. No, I'm completely with everyone. I agree. You know, after this movie, you can have that hopefulness without being, you know, Superman's obviously got this weird spot right now. You've got people who don't want the Christopher Reeves and people who do. Like, you don't want the big blue cheese. And at the same time, like this movie proves, you can have that middle ground.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we don't get a neck snap and then he was like, "Oh, I saved the day." Hopefully, we don't go that far.
We're gonna make our mouths fuck in the middle of ground zero. It's a choice, Clark. Anyway, Mitch, any final thoughts? If not, where can the lovely people find you?
I can say, apart from slight pacing, but it didn't take me out. It didn't wreck anything for me. I just would have liked it to have slowed down a little bit at the start. And the one scene with Star-Lord, because the only thing I could think of was, you don't have the helmet. Why are you doing this show?
Yeah.
Like, all the other fake outs, I genuinely bought. When it's just Star-Lord and Gamora over Rocket and he's flatlining, I genuinely thought Rocket was gone. Yeah. Like, if it wasn't for my brain going, there's pictures of him in the suit, he's fine. But then it's like, but Infinity War, they edit his scenes in and they weren't in the movie. Now, if I didn't have that internal struggle, I would have brought the fact that
I got nervous. Well, here's the thing. I'm the same person who was not worried about Chewbacca and the Rise of Skywalker at all because I poured over all the trailers. And I went, we didn't see Chewie running down this exact hallway yet. He's fine.
Yeah. Which, cursed with knowledge, I suppose. Like, Thanos was right.
You're not the only one. But I didn't have that moment. I went, oh my God. I was freaking out. And I also, another thing that I love.
With Quill or Rocket?
With Rocket. Another thing I love about like the ways that the High Evolutionary is proven wrong with the whole, again, it's such an amazing line with like the, you know, stop playing God. There isn't a God. That's why I had to step in. I also love, not that I'm a religious person, I also love that like he's proven wrong, like objectively, because Rocket goes to heaven.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and I know like the MCU is said, like all afterlives are real, but like Rocket's like in a like white void pearly gates area.
Though very disturbingly, it has literal cages that they were in around him. That's a very, very fitting idea of heaven for Rocket.
Well, I mean, I understand that like it's probably projecting like some form of like this is where you last saw them, and I will make that concession that again it's probably in Rocket's head, but like
it's a purgatory.
We go from the High Evolutionary going like there is not a God, I am God because someone had to be and it's me, to Rocket like this with Rocket and say goodbye to Lila. It's so funny.
I love that Rocket. You know, it's for me, it's probably more a purgatory, but I prefer the idea of Rocket going to heaven.
Yeah.
This foul-mouthed little trash panda.
I know. I love him.
And when he goes to get all the raccoons and the other animals, oh, my heart.
Oh, my God. But yeah, fucking fantastic movie. I can't wait to see this again.
I'll say it's top 3 MCU for me.
It's definitely up there. I haven't had a chance to like really consider where I fall with it. And
I walked out and I was just straight away like, no, there's no chance. I'm horrendously biased with these characters, and there's no chance that's not going up top. No. Even to the point where, not that I'm saying I like Volume 2, but just looking back on it with the context and lens of this movie, it's different. Everything is different.
I love when the story's like thin, closed book.
Which I saw someone earlier say this might be the only MCU trilogy that has an actual legitimate beginning, middle, and end. Like a self-contained beginning, middle, and end. I'd argue you've got an Iron Man, but then Iron Man 3 hinges on Avengers.
I mean, it self-contained is like a weird phrase to use with a lot of MCU.
I say Iron Man 3 hinges on Avengers. This does hinge on Endgame because of Gamora.
Yeah, that's very true. Well, I would also go so far as to say is like, you can eliminate Cap because the Civil War is the instigating reason why the Avengers can't beat Thanos.
Yeah.
Because it's Steve's fault.
Because Cap's a dick, yeah.
It's Steve's fault. Change my mind. You cannot. Spider-Man has so much to do with Iron Man and Captain America. So like I guess, but also like, yeah, no shit, that's the most self-contained. They're on the other part of the fucking universe. Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah. They're light years away from Earth. Like, what do you mean, man?
That's true. That's fair. Yeah.
But
still, they're my babies. Yeah.
I love them. I love them so much. It's such an incredible movie. Mitch, where can all of the people find you and what you do?
If you're not an audio listener, you can follow the link on screen to find my social medias. Audios, you can Twitter and Instagram at 692 tweets and 692 pics, respectively.
Yes.
And ComicBookCast at ComicBookCast, yeah.
Yes, I was going to say, if you're listening to us here, I have no idea how you're not familiar with ComicBookCast, but go listen and watch those things. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552, and you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can also find us on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com, where if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon.
Give me $1.
Speaking of our patrons, thank you to our $10 alumnus, Keandre Lloyd. And to Paco, or as he's going by on our Patreon, Trivia King, Scotty J. Rowe.
My voice.
Excuse me.
Horrifying.
Real quick, before I talk about versus series stuff, just because talking about Paco made me think of it. Paco, he got into Knowledge Fight through this pod, listening to me talk about it, and I just listened to today's Knowledge Fight, and I do want to throw out there Erica Lafferty, the lead plaintiff against Alex Jones in the Connecticut case. Her mother was the principal at Sandy Hook, who was horrifically gunned down and then subsequently lied about by Jones. I will try to grab the link to put it in the episode description. But I think if you just Google Erica Lafferty GoFundMe, she has a GoFundMe going right now to help with her battle against cancer because Alex Jones is a piece of shit and has not paid a red cent to any of these families yet. Somebody who has owned several $100 million has to start a GoFundMe because she got diagnosed with cancer. She is a walking embodiment of how the American system has failed us all. And I implore anybody watching to try to help her out. I believe, thanks to a lot of the Knowledge Fight listeners and policy wonks, they've crossed the threshold necessary. But she did say any excess money, whenever all of her treatments are taken care of, she will be donating to a plethora of other cancer patients who are in a similar situation to her. So all of that money is going to end up either going to her or other people who need it desperately as well. So I implore everybody to check that out. Like I said, I heard her speak. They interviewed her on Knowledge Fight today. Incredibly funny woman. Oh my God, she is a legitimately a hoot to listen to, and it is crazy considering the immense burden she's had to bear over these last 10 years.
You can always tell the strength of people who can come out shit,
yeah,
but still.
This woman has 2 different cancers at the
Yeah.
same time that she was diagnosed with right after the 10th anniversary of Sandy Hook. Like, good God. Like not only immense strength, just the power, all of that kind of fortitude that we look to these stories to inspire us to have. So like I said, if you're able to, go check out Erica Lafferty's GoFundMe. So yeah, with that out of the way, versus series.
Just before you go, just before you start that, I just want to say it's been hilarious actually seeing people on here not see the backflip in the Spider-Man clip.
I've had no idea people didn't. It's so fucking funny you brought that up. You guys will see this on Sunday. $10 patrons, you'll be seeing it today because I'm uploading it early for them. We did our Jedi Survivor review with B Dazzler. She's the reason why I started telling people about the fucking clips. We had her on to talk about Attack of the Clones on Movie Club. May it rest in peace. And she didn't know. She didn't know about the fucking clips. And it never occurred to me to warn people about the clips because all of the guests we had on in recent times, and I'm not like the shit, where it's like,
Cut that dog.
silly shit that we play in the middle of
That's the one I haven't got. Oh, god damn it. I wait, I played.
There's the silly ones that we play in the middle of the show, like maybe I'll walk out of here tomorrow, like shit that I know she's seen before because I played it when she was on before, stuff like that. But it was like once I started doing the Patreon, like the patron clips at the end, she had no fucking clue, and she got hit when Nick was still a patron, so she got the trinity. So she got the trinity of backflip. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Like she got all 3 at once, and she was so visibly like, "What the fuck just happened?" And so after that, I started warning people. We had Eric Schwartzel of the Wall Street Journal on to talk about Red Carpet, and that was the first time I was like, "Hey, just so you know, at the end of the show, we play 3 clips for our patrons. It's this kid screaming, and then it's this guy doing a backflip at Spider-Man No Way Home, and then it's Alex Jones." And then if Eric is a family friend of both mine and Spencer's, so like I didn't have to explain to Eric. Also, I'm not fucking crazy. I listen to this podcast, like all of these disclaimers, so that people are ready for the last 5 minutes of the show. That and it's so funny because Keandre, whenever he joined in on the Patreon, he said, "I want this video," because it came up in our Multiverse of Madness review. And I was
gonna say, was it that started when?
Yeah, because he pitched it. Because I was talking about me screeching like a banshee when Mr. Fantastic showed up, and he was like, "Oh, he's like, at least you weren't as bad as this guy." And he joined the Patreon like right after that stream. I was like, "Hey, man, welcome to the fold." And he was like, "I want this to be my clip." And I said, he's like, "Unless you want something that's like not just people screaming." And I was like, "Nah, we'll keep it." And he's not asked for a new one since, and it's just going to stay that way. I respect you for that, Keandre. Paco asked to change it from this guy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
I haven't heard it in so long since Paco
No,
changed it, so I needed to hear it.
Genuinely missed it. I've missed the Trinity, like the Holy Trinity of team.
I know. Well, here's the thing, and I'm hoping for more patrons because we love to have your support, and it helps keep the lights on over here.
Give him $1.
Give me $1. I can't wait for it to go to the Reds.
Or 10.
Meet that guy again. Or 10. Ideally 10. 10 is really not. 5 you get exclusive shit. 10 is like we talk about you like we're close, like we know you, like we get beers and stuff. I say that like Nick can drink. But I'm hoping for another $10 patron soon because I want somebody to pick a clip that isn't screaming. Because like we set this really weird precedent when we started with the clips that like everybody went, well, it's got to be a clip of somebody screaming, man. Oh, and I made a joke. I said that jokingly once. I'm like, yeah, we get a clip of someone making a lot of noise, and then everybody took that so fucking literally. That like
I say with Nick's one, was it Nick's choice, or did you just give him that clip?
I started running the clip after they joined the Patreon, and then they said that was funny as shit to keep it. It's like, word, okay.
So
I think that's how it
never
happened.
did the edit that I asked.
I know. I never got around to it. I'm sorry.
No. Now it's too late.
No, well, Nick, if you're watching, come back, become a $10 patron again, and I will make the edit of your screech to the. All right, ladies and gentlemen, make it happen. But
please, Nick, just do the 1 month. Just do it, and then I'm paying.
But yeah. Anyway, $5 patrons, you get access to our Knights of the Nerd Republic Versus series. I've begun working on the stat sheet for Shock T this week. So around next week, hopefully we'll have Shock T versus Darth Vader out for you guys. Very fun matchup. And then June might be a little bit delayed because if I remember the lineup correctly, I am going to have to do a lot more research than normal for June because I believe June is Count Dooku versus Porter Angle. And I'm considering changing the era we use for Dooku. I'm not sure yet. So June might be a little bit of a later one. So stay tuned for that. But I'm very excited for Porter versus Dooku. And again, $5 tier. Again, you help support us, keep the lights on. And also you get like a 30 episode backlog of our Versus series.
Nice.
Yeah, which like, you know, I really do love the model of like truly just repaying somebody with a shit ton of content, you know, like that's something I stole from QAnon Anonymous. You join their Patreon at the $5 tier. You literally double the amount of episodes you get. Like their main feed is around like 200 teens episodes, and they just crossed 200 Patreon episodes. Like QAA does not fuck around. I love them. They're great too.
Yeah.
I don't talk about them as much because there's not great clips buried in there. But yeah, anyway, thank you all for watching. Go check out ComicBookCast if you haven't already, which is hilarious to me if you haven't somehow. Consider checking out the Patreon. We very much appreciate the support. Next week, we have a really cool episode coming out on Knights of the Nerd Republic as well. I'm very excited for it. Those of you who are on the Tiki Talks might be familiar with one Jedi Master Alan, who runs Level Up Lightsabers, a very cool lightsaber company with a lot of really good products. He is, however, also a martial arts instructor and somebody who has done a lot of really interesting videos about Anakin Skywalker and the choices he made. And he has a playlist on his TikTok called Anakin and Big Feelings. And that is going to be the name of the episode.
I think I've seen that.
You probably have. He is brilliant. I love listening to him speak. The episode is going to just be called Anakin Skywalker and His Very Big Feelings. I am very excited to record this with Alan. He is an immensely intelligent individual. Not only does he know his shit about like real world philosophy, the philosophies behind martial arts, he is also a damn good Star Wars scholar. And I am elated to get to talk to him next week, and that'll be out next weekend probably. I believe we're recording on either Tuesday or Thursday of next week, so stay tuned for that. I am very excited. So yeah, there's going to be I'm going to be trying to do a lot of topic episodes for KNR in the coming months that we have between now and whenever our next Star Wars project is, which I feel like we're getting something. Oh yeah, fucking Ahsoka is in August. I was like, I know there's something at the end of summer. The Ahsoka. So between now and Ahsoka, I want to try to get a lot of concept episode or topic episodes out. I have a lot banked up, a lot that I've like made. I made a lot that I made thumbnails for a year ago that I've been cooking for a minute. So stay tuned for that. I want to do a Force Unleashed retrospective here soon. Because I don't think that game gets its flowers. I think it's been largely co-opted by a very unsavory side of the fandom. And I want to talk about TFU a little bit. So anyway, lots to check out with Knights of the Nerd Republic. Obviously, we have Secret Invasion on the horizon here soon. So we get weekly reviews of that here on TNAP, as well as movie reviews. We have The Flash coming.
Unfortunately.
So stay tuned for that. We can get nuts. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and class dismissed.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!